Hello, welcome to your graduate study course for Southern New Hampshire University. And for this week, we are going to be studying a really interesting aspect of management communication. And this is employee-facing messages. The learning objectives for this module are to compose a performance review, to communicate employee evaluations, apply change management principles to support the employee's development, and apply change management principles in crafting and internal communication. So for the discussion this week, we'll be conducting a difficult employee performance review. This will deal with a employee who happens to also be somewhat of a friend for the supervisor in question. And it's a pretty interesting little discussion assignment for this week. So again, be sure and review the assignment in the module and also review the requirements in the rubric. And again, as a reminder, it's helpful to have the key elements of the assignment and the rubric as headers in your paper. That way you don't forget to do key aspects of the assignment, and it makes it a little easier for me to follow your train of thought and the key components of your assignment. Okay, on employee-facing messages and in terms of dealing with even difficult employee situations, I'm going to share some wisdom that a wise man told me one time, a businessman that I had a great amount of respect for. He stated to me, most anyone can run a company when times are good. You find out who the real business people are when times get tough. Can they make the adjustments? Can they do the things needed to get a business through? I think the same thing can be said of managing relationships. It's easy to be respected and well thought of when things are going good for relationships and for a business. It's much more challenging when things get tough. So what we've got to come to terms with and think about for this week is, as you're putting together this communique and you're putting together the communication assignment for this week with a difficult employee situation, is how can we be truthful, straightforward, and direct with people, suppliers, employees, etc., and still maintain a respectful and productive relationship. There are ways to do this, and I've got a few tips for you that I wanted to share today. And these are things that I've learned and identified through my business career through the years. First is consistency. Make sure that your business and professional relationships are built on a solid foundation and that people understand the nature of the relationship. Make sure, in essence, even though you will have friends in a business, even friends that you supervise potentially, make sure that people understand that the foundation of the relationship is professional. I was and always could be friends with employees, but they always understood that I was first and foremost the CEO of the company, and that was my ultimate responsibility. Ultimately, we had a business relationship as our foundation, but it was also a personal relationship. Now, some people have a real challenge mixing those two, and some people just don't try to do it, and I understand that. I always felt like it was manageable, and I always felt like you spend enough time in a business, it's kind of difficult to spend your time there and not actually enjoy what you're doing and enjoy the people you're doing it with. So I always tried to maintain good professional as well as personal relationships within the business as much as possible. The second tip I would give you in terms of managing these professional relationships is to do it in small bites. If you have problems or you have issues with someone, I would try to deliver challenging, even negative information in small nuggets. Give consistent and ongoing information. I didn't torpedo people when they least expected it with a bomb of negative information that caught them by surprise. I tried to keep constant information coming out and being shared with them. And if some of it was negative, then it was out there. The third thing that I would highlight is what I call planning and backfilling. And after even fairly minor discussions dealing with gaps in performance, I would always try to discuss with the employee, the supplier, etc., how they could change activities and behaviors going forward, and put together timelines and schedule updates and feedback sessions. That way you're kind of putting some accountability in the relationship and making sure that people understand that the discussion you had is somewhat serious and needs to be actionable information. And then finally, be decisive and professional. It's your job to run your department and your business. You're charged with certain responsibilities. Take them seriously and prioritize them accordingly, and don't back up from these opportunities or responsibilities. These are the things that in essence really do help define and make a career. And first and foremost in this regard is don't feel like you need to apologize for doing your job and taking care of your own career pathway. Again, this is where you need people to understand that the foundation of the relationship is professional. Even though we try to forge personal bonds and personal relationships, the foundation in a business or an organization, the foundation of those relationships is professional. Now, someday, if one or both of you leave that organization and you no longer work together, then you've got a personal relationship that you hopefully can help maintain, and hopefully it flourishes and goes forward. But while you're both in that organization, you have a professional obligation to each other and a professional relationship. And so don't let anybody forget that. That's really important. Okay. Also, in addition to your discussion for this week, you have milestone 5.2. It's a draft of an internal communication. And for milestone 2, craft an internal message that will be used to address the problem you identified in the final project case study provided. So again, be sure and read the assignment in full, look at the rubric, and make sure that you got all the major bases covered, and it should keep you in hopefully good shape and keep you on target. Okay, well, that's all we've got for this module. I will look forward to talking to everybody in the next segment. If you have any questions, need anything answered, be sure and reach out, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you for your time.